welcome to the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game from here in central London. We've already got over $2.5 million in play at the table. The stakes are high and we have seen some eye-watering pots as well. Plenty more of the same in this show too, as we hand over to your commentators, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
I'm happy you did it. I would have.
We're at the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game. I'm David Tuckman alongside professional poker player Gary Jones. And we have some new developments in the game. Tom Dwan, our 22-year-old internet star, has rebought for another $100,000. He is now in for over $500,000. And by the way, he is down over $300,000. How does he regroup, Gary?
Well, he's had swings like this plenty of times in his poker playing career.
That's how tough a table I had all day on day 6.
David Benjamin taking a break. You know, taking all those chips from Tom Dwan can get tiring.
Yeah, I think he can afford to take a break. He's having a very good day.
He is approaching the $800,000 mark, and he is now up over $250,000.
Well, the race from Tom Dwan gets 3 callers, including Andy Block with King 7. He was in the big blind, admittedly. Well, fortune smiling on Tom. He catches the 8. Gives him the best hand right now, as he had before the flop.
And I hate to harp on it, because Andy Block is a fantastic mixed game player, but he seems a little bit out of his element in no limit. Tom Dwan, that's the kind of player he feasts on, isn't it?
Exactly. Looks like Phil's calling to try and take him off this pot on the turn. Not much for him right now. Well, nothing for him right now.
But he's floating one here. He knows that Dwan doesn't necessarily need a hand to bet. Well, the 5 of clubs helps neither player. Pot is nearly $21,000. And if you're in Dwan's position, his hand definitely has showdown value. How do you play it? He checks it.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to go for a check call here.
Maybe induce a bluff?
Yeah, quite possibly. He's beating any 8, any deuce, any draw. The only thing he's not beating is the jack.
The only draw I can really see up there is maybe 9-10, which of course would be an open-ended straight draw.
12,000.
And Ivey bets about 60% of the pot. Bets 12,000. Pot now $32,700. Back to Dwan. Now, of course, if he calls this, he has to know that he might face a big river bet. Is he prepared to call off a lot of his chips with just second pair? He looks like he might be raising this. Is there any value to raising this?
Well, he is protecting his hand, but he's not going to get a jack. Well, he might get a jack to lay down.
I mean, does he think he's behind here?
I don't know what's going through his head. I'll be honest with you here, Dave. Well, actually, it looks more like 150,000 more. I think he's making the kids sweat.
The interesting thing is, Ivey knows exactly the type of player that durrrr is.
Yeah, they played an awful lot together online.
And I can't help but think that Ivey was like that, maybe just 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Obviously, Phil Ivey has honed his game at Atlantic City in New Jersey before playing all over the world. And if you think Ivey's a good no-limit player, his best game is actually stud. Chris Ferguson watching intently. Pot is 77,000. Action back to Ivey.
I'm only about 200. I gave it.
Pot is 77,000. It's 32,000 back to Ivey. And Ivey's going to pick a better spot. Obviously, he wasn't going to call. It was a raise or a fold, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. When he sees the hand later on, he's going to think, I should have gone with my instincts. But for now, Tom Dwan actually wins a nice pot.
Poker.net $1 million cash game. I'm David Tuckman alongside professional poker player Gary Jones. And we are watching 8, but actually right now 7 of the finest poker players you'll ever see at one table. Patrick Antonius in seat number 1 is taking a little bit of a break.
Why don't we wait for Patrick to be here? Until he makes the jack on the river.
And apparently the button is in front of the empty seat.
Thank you. We'll do it next time. Okay, 1200 straddle.
They said they want to wait till Patrick gets back, so no straddle.
No. No Chris.
So in fact, Chris Ferguson actually has the button here.
Well, you know what? I have a look at my hand.
Wait till we get some Chris.
But it's not mandatory.
Benjamin is going to straddle this pot.
1200 straddle.
And the action is on Mr. Tom Dwan.
Just because I had it, and yes. I just will feel terrible if somebody has a hand.
And he's raising it up.
4,000 to play.
4,000's the bet.
Not open for 4,000 when somebody's
12. 12 to play.
Instant re-raise from Phil Hellmuth to 12,000.
Pass. Fold.
That's
12,000.
Bit of a raise with King 10, playing the player, I think, as much as his cards.
I had Durr's favorite hand from yesterday.
Yeah, these players are definitely on to Tom Dwan.
Fold.
And after having spoken to Tom Dwan, I have to say, a delightful young man.
Yeah, real nice chap. $9-7 for Tom.
Patrick Antonius coming back to the table.
How many times are we going to knock this thing over? At least I got rid of that glass bottle. Is anyone drinking it? Oh, I'm drinking this
Overseeing what's going on.
Oh,
Pot is $18,800. It's 8,000 back to Dwan. Does he want to play this hand out of position?
Well, I think he's going to. I think it's just a question of whether he wants to take control of the pot or not. Looks like that's what he's trying to do.
29,300 total.
Oh, and Hellmuth takes off the glasses. He's going to stare this kid down and figure it all out.
Well, he's going to try and figure it all out. I'm willing to bet he doesn't put him on 9-7.
Well, this is poker. Dwan raises with garbage. Hellmuth re-raises with really not much of a hand. And then Dwan 3-bets it here. The pot is 44,100. Back to Hellmuth. And we're talking about another 20,000 back to Hellmuth?
Yep. And he's not going to know what he can catch.
Zip! Go to the glasses.
Well, who's the bigger man? Helmuth lays it down, and Dwan, he shows the 11-time bracelet winner how to play some poker.
Like, you know, people go into
So at last, things beginning to come together for the poker prodigy Tom Dwan. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game. Let's hand you straight back to your commentators.
How good am I playing?
I mean, that's great.
I got the A game. I stack a 27 ball with ace high, and I just fold kings for 37 ball. I mean, can you play any better?
Okay, the round starts
That's
now.
127,000 in mistakes already.
1,200 shredder.
We're starting the round right now. 12,000,
You know
1,200
what
automatic.
the good thing is? Look at all the fun we're having.
We got a straddle here. Helmuth will be first to act.
Last time you had a high-fixed cash game, y'all looked
Yeah,
like
doubling the big blind to 1,200.
having much fun.
So now there's a 3, a 6, and a 12.
Boys and girls.
4,500 to play.
Phil keeping the pressure on, making it 4,500 with a weak ace.
Entertaining value.
Phil Hellmuth with
I'm sure one of you guys
Kojak.
whenever decide to play good.
Hellmuth also down $47,000.
I think I brought this.
Ivey has the most chips at the table. He's got 846,000 tables.
Fold.
Chips, that is.
That's a little bit tight for Phil. Looks like he's decided to take a little bit of a break from mixing it up.
My
Fold.
full escapade of playing her with
Fold.
When I get back, I'm going to go
Fold.
play no limit
Fold.
every day for 2 weeks to get my stuff back.
Just these two again.
Cool.
8-4
Whatever. Not even about the money.
and Ace-6.
Queen 4-7.
Well, a 4 for Tom. But unsurprising with that kind of a hand, he's flopped bottom pair. But nothing much for Phil.
Check.
Obviously, that's the problem with a hand like 8-4. When you do flop a pair, it's often bottom pair or middle pair.
6,000.
Playing that hand out of position can be tough, but if anybody can do it,
Yeah, it's Tom. Very fast and loose 6,000 bet from Phil.
well, we've seen this before from Phil Hellmuth.
Cool.
He plays many different ways. He always mixes up his game. It's one of the reasons it's so tough to play against him.
Eights.
Oh, well.
Well, that's going to make it a little bit easier to call any more bets by Tom Dwan.
Check.
Hellmuth with the gut shot. Needs a 5 to win this pot. He only has 3 outs.
Check.
Pot is now $22,700 to the river.
Lost card 9.
That 9 no help. Possibly the only way Tom's going to get paid here is with the check. Let Phil try and bluff it.
You look at that flop, the only draw really out there was 5-6, and that would have gotten there. And after Dwan takes this pot down, you can't imagine that Hellmuth will be happy.
Especially if he gets to see Tom's hand.
Looks like a massive overbet. Are those actually blue chips? I thought for a second they were black chips.
19,300 for that.
It is a big bet, though. Nearly a pot size.
Fold.
Pretty easy pass for Phil there. I think if he'd have checked it, he might have had a better chance of getting some money. He doesn't know that, of course.
Hindsight 2020, and Phil Hellmuth takes another hit to his stack. We'll take a look at a leaderboard here. Phil Hellmuth now down nearly $58,000. Nothing on Tom Dwan, though, is down $310,000. Our big winner, David Benjamin, he's up $277,000. Of course, Patrick Antonius has bought in for $200,000 more. He now has over $500,000, but he's down $250,000.
But you were also playing with a bunch of strings.
Another live straddle on this pot.
1,200 to play.
This time from
Never a bad idea.
the poker brat himself, Mr. Phil Hellmuth.
They released a deck on full tilt.
Yes, yes, David.
Somebody typed in the other day, it's like, Mike, you need to talk to support about the MG something. I go, so me and Howard we're playing Chinese, and I said, Howard, what is that? And he says, the random money generator. a random number generator.
Fold.
So the random number generator.
How deep are you, Mike?
I have 86,000 starting this hand.
Tom Dwan having a quick break.
For our random number generator, we have Mike Matusow talking to a microphone.
I'm going to raise it.
It's going to be 3 to the flop. Oh no, he said raise.
And the gears are changing for Hellmuth. We've seen the tight Hellmuth, we've seen the conservative one, and now we're seeing the aggressive one.
It's a Very marginal hand from Phil.
You better make a stand now, Patrick. I'm going to raise every pot from here on out. I can't even see straight right now.
Doesn't think Antonius is that strong. Obviously, Matusow just called, but I think he's going to be
14,000.
He's going to be disappointed when Matusow at least calls this, isn't he?
I think so. I think Mike's going to throw it away. Unbelievable.
Can you explain why he threw that away?
Well, I just don't think he wants to put all his chips in with the jacks, and if it comes 3 small cards, that's what he's going to have to do. He's waiting for a better spot. But you've got to recognise that Phil Hellmuth is playing very fast and loose right now. You've got to change your gears. You've got to recognise these things and be prepared to take a stand, otherwise you shouldn't be in the game.
Well, the action has been red hot here at the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game. We're going to let the chips cool down a little bit and take a quick break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time. Welcome back to the biggest televised cash game in Europe. Let's take you straight back to the action.
Action over to Matusow. And we've seen him now lay down kings and jacks. Both times he had the best hand. Here he's got 9s. Is he almost playing scared?
Certainly looks that way to me.
4,100 total for play.
He made a big call with just ace high. Is that affecting his play?
I think so. I think that's actually what's happened. He made a what can only be called a bad call against Tom Dwan earlier on with just ace high. And I think that's in the back of his mind. He doesn't want to give money away by calling in bad spots anymore.
4-6-2s, check.
Well, he's got the overpair.
Check.
And he could get some action here because Ivey's flopped top pair.
And Phil Hellmuth has flopped bottom pair.
11,000 is the bet.
And Phil's playing fast enough. He's leading out. 11,000 into this pot. And there comes a point where you've just got to take a stand, and if you Mike Matusow, that's probably going to be now.
I was about to say that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see a bet here, a call from Ivey, and an all-in from Matusow.
Yeah, especially with his chips.
Matusow started this pot with $83,000. The pot is now $35,000. Get a call from Ivey over to Matusow, and you imagine
Mike's just flat called.
Turn cards an 8.
There's not an awful lot of cards he's going to be happy with. That 8's not a great card for 9s, but he's lucky that it's not an overcard.
Ivey now with the gut shot.
All in.
All in.
Check from Phil, all in from Mike. Possibly should have done this a little bit sooner. That's a mighty big bet.
Yeah, the all-in should be about $65,000. Pot is now 114.
How much is it?
65. Excuse me.
One more. One more. One more down. Andy, what do we do?
Andy helping count. He did go to MIT, of course.
Yeah, he's got some counting experience in his past, Andy Block.
55.
Part of the MIT blackjack team that took a few pounds, or rather a few dollars out of Las Vegas.
Might have turned him into pounds, though.
Yeah, could be.
Andy Block, a very, very smart man there. Mike Matusow might look smart here. He's a favorite to win this pot. And Hellmuth asked for a count, but there's no way Hellmuth's going to call.
He has turned the nut flush draw, so there is a chance he's going to call.
Getting less than 2-to-1 to his money, though.
True, and he's got to figure he's behind. But aces, deuces, and clubs.
He does have 14 outs here. 9 clubs, 3 aces, and 2 deuces. If he was getting 3 to 1, I think, obviously, if he's getting 3 to 1, he's getting the right odds to call. 2 to 1, not quite.
It's not even 2 to 1. I think this is over the pot size. Might not stop him.
It's about a $65,000 bet into a $114,000 pot. Hellmuth likes his hand. He's down 50,000. He knows this is his way to get back even.
Or to get himself into a deeper hole. And don't forget, Phil Ivey's behind him. If he calls and Phil calls, then all of a sudden he's getting his odds.
Obviously, he can't ask Phil if he's going to call, but he would love Phil to call this. And this pot could get the mouth back in the black. Can't ask for anything better. Matusow, Hellmuth, Ivey, and a $114,000 pot. And is this just a math question for Hellmuth? He has to know he's behind, right?
Yeah, exactly. It should just be a maths question. The only hand he might be in front of is a nut diamond draw.
And he calls. You know, he's gambling right now. He's down $50,000. And is that going to bring Ivey in now? No, Ivey's out. No, he realizes he's way behind.
It's a good lay down there from Phil, actually.
The pot is $182,000. Hellmuth needs an ace, a deuce, or a club.
68,000, and I can't beat a deuce.
Phil was calling you too. I mean, we didn't think
ace, a deuce, or a club. Oh, it's a 5 of spades. Not going to happen.
That would have caught Ivey. Phil catches if Phil Ivey would have caught. He's going to be a bit sick right now. This would have been his pot if he made the bad call. A little smile from Mike Matusow. He's finally won a pot.
Look, I know you're the Mike Matusow blow-up, so I mean, I was expecting you to show nothing. I thought deuces were good. I want to call. So.
I'm glad you called. Save me again.
He got to me once or twice, but I mean, if you're a great poker player, you can't let somebody, I mean, he's like a fly. If you let the flies get to you, then you lose, you know.
He's sitting almost next to me, so I have to listen to him all the time. He's never gonna lose a battle on a table. He's Mike the Mouth.
I've always been a great cash game player. A lot of people think different.
I lost a $100,000 pot with exact scenario online the other day.
People say I'm known as an emotional person.
You just don't know how bad I run in poker.
Well, I've learned over the years to control my emotions. It doesn't even faze me.
You're right.
I expect to lose it. I'm gonna come in with a super tight image, like they always think I'm real tight. And once I establish that image, it's gonna allow me to open up my game a little bit. I'm really good at reading people, and I'm really good at picking off bluffs by picking off things that people do. The way people throw their chips in, the way I look at the way they look at their cards. I see whether they like their hand or not, and I am the best at that, and that's what makes my strength.
It takes a certain mentality to be able to deal with the ups and downs without cracking.
Anybody can play great when they're winning. It's who can sit there and get pounded day after day after day and keep pouncing back. And you ask anybody in poker who's been pounded more than Mike Matusow and bounced back, they're not going to say many. I got a lot of heart. That's what I'm known for. A lot of heart. Bounce back off the table and just keep coming back. Do you realize the guy raised my blind 7 in a row? I folded it 7 in a row.
Yeah, you had to. And you had to, and there was good karma in the room. That was the explanation you told me. You had to win the pot. Yeah, I heard your explanation.
Hey, it was the only time I moved in the entire time.
There were only 2 great
Poor dealer's trying to get the ante off Mike while Mike's involved in the conversation.
I got my money in bad twice in 6 days and played 3 coin flips.
Guess how many times I got my money in
I mean, you're gonna. I watched on TV when you popped it with the 5-6 and then got lucky and then didn't say a word. It was like hee hee ha ha.
I didn't
and
pop
everybody
1200 to play.
Popped it in out of the big blind. You forget everything.
Live straddle here from Patrick Antonius.
Yeah, I didn't pop it. That's true.
I mean, you forget when you get lucky.
Action on.
You know, you just want to
the
rip
mouth.
on people. See, I know when I get lucky or I misplay a hand.
Pass.
I know I donked off folding them kings against Phil.
Yeah, I did.
But you know what?
I did watch you on the television. Actually, you played pretty well, I noticed. But you gave away like 25,000 with aces, where you couldn't lose one nickel on the hand.
I know, it was so gross. Don't you remember I came back in the back room and told you how horrified I was, how bad I played?
No, you came back and told me you played perfect for 6 days.
I said I played perfect.
The very first day I watched,
on the first day I said I played perfect, except for I grenaded 2 aces against a guy that was such an easy
And you went
fold.
crazy with ace queen against queens, but it happened to come a king, so you got away with that bluff.
Sorry, excuse me.
7. Pass.
Excuse me, sorry. Apologize.
Quick pass from Phil, and that one goes to Tom Dwan.
Tough talk and even tougher gamesmanship here at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game, and lots more still to come after this short break.
We're at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game. Hope you're enjoying it. The action is on Andy the Rock Block. Andy, of course, resides in Las Vegas right now.
Well, the action's actually going to be with Mike now. He's decided to do the live straddle from the rock.
Not something you normally see from Mr. Block.
Got some ammunition,
1200.
and he's about ready to play a little poker with you guys.
I might have to rebuy with Mike. Yeah.
You know what happens when I got some ammunition? That means we're about ready to play a little poker.
Fold, fold.
And when it's Phil
1200
Hellmuth the ammunition in front of me,
Okay, durrrr, let's go, kid.
4,000.
Let's see here. What do I want to do? Last time I had this hand, I re-raised you, and you moved in.
Okay, you don't have aces.
Phil giving away a little bit too much information about his hand.
Cool. 4,000.
He said the last time that he had this hand, he re-raised durrrr, and durrrr raised it back on top of him, which is actually the truth. Kind of shows that he doesn't have aces or kings. And I don't think many of these players are going to be laying down queens or ace-king against Tom Dwan. Sometimes talking can have its disadvantages.
6-4 deuce.
6-4 deuce, couple of hearts out there. Not much for anybody. Block with a gut shot.
And he was winning before, and he's still winning now.
6-4 deuce. Check. 4-6. Could be mine.
Check round to Phil Ivey on the button.
4 players in that pot, and nobody's got anything. Yet the pot is $17,000.
13,000.
The bet's 13,000. And Andy Block, although he's got the best hands, going to find it hard to call that.
13.
And one thing we've noticed from Phil Hellmuth, he certainly seems to be getting a little bit more aggressive whenever he falls behind.
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
Pot is now $30,000.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a reputation for steaming in the cash games, and we're maybe seeing a little bit of that right now.
What exactly do you mean by steaming?
Well, what a lot of players actually do is when they're behind, they no longer play their A game. They start trying to chase the money that they're already losing.
Fold.
And it's a very bad strategy. It can cost you an awful lot. It means when you have a loss, it's usually a much bigger the loss than it should have been. And that's what Phil's pretty famous for. Also means you get a chance to get out of it, to get yourself back to level. That's always your hope when you're steaming, but we'll have to see whether Phil can actually manage to get himself out of the hole he's dug himself right now. Of course, Phil Ivey last year was in quite a deep hole, managed to get himself out of it with an $800,000 pot against Patrick Antonius. And Patrick Antonius is having a bad year this year as well, but hasn't really done much wrong. Has had next to no hands, started off season 3 with an all-in blind with Phil Ivey and lost that, and hasn't really managed to get himself back from that situation.
Of course, that big call from Patrick Antonius. And of course, Phil Ivey's got a very interesting seat position there. He's in seat 7. He's got Chris Ferguson to his left, and of course, Dwan and Hellmuth and Benjamin to his right. Does he like that?
Well, I'd love it. With Chris Ferguson on your left, you're going to get the button and the best position more often every round. Patrick Antonius is playing very tight, very conservative, so that's even better for you. And you get to see the action from the action players. So it really should be suiting Phil Ivey right now. And that's probably why he's up a little. Not a lot.
And Ivey, of course, has the most chips at the table, but he's only up $36,000 because he's bought in for $800,000.
Cool. Fold. 24. Cool.
And there's a live straddle here.
Fold.
A raise under the gun from Benjamin and a call. Oh, actually, is that a double straddle?
I think that's actually a double straddle from David Benjamin. So instead of it being 300 and 600, which is what the official blinds are, you've got an over straddle, making it 1,200, and then a double over straddle, making it 2,400.
Well, throw the blinds out the window, throw the cards out the window. This is just absolute insanity.
Well, Patrick Antonius is making it a little bit more sane. Bring them all back to reality with a big raise. Ace-4 no good from Matusow. Well, David Benjamin's woken up with a hand in the overstraddle.
It's 9,009 more.
And Patrick has made approximately $10,000 more. And that's what Benjamin's got to think about now. Is his ace-jack worth that much money? He will have position on Patrick.
It does look like a good spot for a dead money pickup from Patrick Antonius. Just 2 limpers. So he could be putting the pressure on, and as it happens, he's got half of a hand, and it's the kind of hand that David Benjamin's got in bad shape.
Pot is 22,000. It's 9,900 to call.
And it's a call from David. He's got the best position, he's got the best hand.
And is that going to bring Dwan in?
Well, it really wouldn't surprise me.
Well, now Dwan is down $300,000. He's looking for spots to win a big pot. Maybe he thinks this is his hand.
And if he comes, you might even see Ivey join the party.
I would bet my firstborn that Ivey's going to call this one. At least.
9,009 more.
9,009 more?
What? Did I really have what?
Good for me. My firstborn is safe.
No, I had an ace in my hand. And ace something.
Cool.
Well, he calls.
You have 4 ways here. The pot is already $51,000, and we haven't seen a flop yet.
And the best hand out there is ace-jack. Unbelievable. Here comes a flop. Well, King 8-4.
I knew you were strong when you called 4,000.
Dwan is ahead here with a pair of 8s. He's got second pair. It's a whole bunch of nothing for everybody. And $51,000 before the flop. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's more than a lot of people make in an entire year.
Exactly. The question right now is what Patrick's going to do.
I thought you wanted to steam off some more.
He's made it over 12,000 to play before the flop. He's got 3 callers and he's missed. Does he have a stab?
I mean, I think it was interesting that he tried the dead money pickup now. But now that 3 players call, it's really tough. But you know what? He's got a lot of heart. He's going to try it.
34,000. Fold.
The man with the best hand facing a bet of 34,000.
The pot is 85,000. I mean, can Dwan call this with just second pair? He has to think that he's probably behind. But does he want to take one off? See what happens.
Well, when you call with that kind of hand, there's no draws on this flop. I think he's probably going to have to call. If you call into flop 2 pair, you really are dreaming.
I mean, is there a chance that he can put Antonius on an underpair, maybe jacks or 10s, maybe think he can take it away from him on a later street?
Well, maybe think he can take away from it on this street. You might want to try and find out where he is. Make it 75, 80,000. But no, he's just going to call.
Cool.
And this pot is really developing into a monster. The pot is nearly $120,000. Ivey's got nothing. He's going to get rid of it.
That's pretty good news for both of the players. Nines and aces would put Patrick Antonius in front.
Turn card 5.
Turns a 5 of hearts. That changes nothing. And if you're Antonius, what do you do? Both these players, these are our two biggest losers today. Both down more than $250,000.
Well, Patrick's got more of a reputation of being tight at the table. If he can actually bring himself to put an $80,000 or $90,000 pot bet into this pot, he could well pick it up.
Now, these players really know each other well. They've played countless hours together on the internet. And of course, they were involved in an earlier hand where Dwan made a full house and Patrick made a big, big call with just one pair.
Check.
Patrick Antonius focusing on the pot, on Dwan, and on his chips. And of course, Dwan.
Oh, it goes check, check.
Last card.
Not sure where he is. Is he going to regret it?
Deuce.
Nope, the deuce a good card for Tom.
And I don't think Patrick can fire at this one now, can he?
No, because he knows that even if Tom's got an 8, he's probably going to call.
I mean, after checking the turn, he's pretty much given up, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's what's happened.
And that's what he's trying to figure out right now, obviously. Can he take a stab at this one more time?
I think everybody here is a multi-billionaire.
But Patrick, one of the best in the business. He's not the type to throw money after bad money, is he?
Well, he's reaching for his chips.
Listen, when you have a positive attitude, eventually...
I think he's probably going to have to bet 80 or 90,000 to get rid of Tom.
Well, that's what he's done.
You bounce off the carpet like I have.
Looks like $82,000 bluff from Patrick Antonius. This is a big, big decision for Tom Dwan.
I know many that never recover.
And of course, Patrick Antonius checked the turn.
Nobody's more positive.
Silly me, I would have thought that would have been the end of the pot.
I still expect to win.
But obviously, Patrick, he could take this line. The pot is $200,000. 82,000 to call.
That's why when anything ever would start bad for me, I always would call it positive because you always had positive. You were always positive.
Good luck in trying to get a read on that, man.
Does Patrick's line make sense, the way he played this hand?
Well, it's looking like 10s, jacks, but would he make such a big bet on the river with 10s or jacks? He could have been laying a trap with a decent king on the turn, especially on a board of king 8-4 where there's no real draws. You might feel like you can afford to give a free card a chance at getting a payoff on the river. And this is all what's going through Tom's head right now.
I mean, if there was a player at this table you were going to trap, it would be Dwan, wouldn't it?
Precisely.
Easy when they check raise me. Be a lot more easier. 37 more. Yeah.
And it's an absolutely ridiculous bluff here. Now, we've seen Dwan make some big laydowns, but we haven't seen him make a big call. Can he do it? What do you think?
Okay.
I think it's going through his head. He's counting his chips. He knows how much he's stuck in this game. He might think he doesn't want to go any further in the red. But this is also a chance for him to get a little bit out of it, you know. There's $200,000 in this pot. It would go a long way to helping him.
What? No, I was looking at my chips. I'm just trying to figure out why I wouldn't bet the turn if you had a good hand.
Dude, you're allowed to take your time.
That must be difficult. You've got an $82,000 decision on your hands, and Phil Hellmuth's in your ear. And Dwan trying to figure out why Patrick didn't bet the turn. Was Patrick trying to lay a trap, or was this a bluff? Well, he's counting out the $82,000. The pot is $200,000. This would be an absolute monster swing.
Last time we had a cash game, we had a bet on how big the pot was. So one of the losses was 5%.
It's a fine line in poker. You can make as much money making good laydowns as you can making good calls. Sometimes you can fall one side or the other and start making mistakes. That's what he's worried about.
He's going to call.
He makes a call. It's a great call from Tom Dwan.
It's high.
It's a great call. He's going to win this with one pair of eights. I can't believe it. A $280,000 pot with a pair of eights. What a call by Tom Dwan.
Fantastic. That's going to make him feel a lot better. And I fear for the rest of the table now. He's getting a little bit of confidence.
He's still down 150,000, but he was down over 300,000. What a swing. You got to give credit to Patrick Antonius. What heart of a champion to even try that. But he is really in deep here. He is down nearly $400,000.
Well, sadly, that's where we've got to leave it for now here at the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 million cash game. But we'll see you again next time for plenty more world-class poker.